You're grazing your sheep in the morning when you spot massive trucks approaching in the distance like an industrial invasion force, heading straight for your peaceful village with obvious intent to disrupt everything you hold sacred. They're carrying strange loads that look completely out of place in your agricultural world. Giant metallic parts that gleam with technological menace. Long white wings that suggest some kind of mechanical bird. And enormous machinery that belongs in some technological nightmare designed to corrupt simple farm life. You're 23, an Amish young man who's only ever seen horse-drawn carriages when it comes to transportation technology, and now modern industry's giant vehicles are sitting right in front of you like mechanical monsters ready to devour your peaceful existence. Your name is Samuel, and you handle farm work using traditional methods your father taught you with patience and wisdom passed down through generations. When someone mentions electricity, the only thing that comes to mind is lightning during thunderstorms that God sends from heaven. Because in Amish society, electricity use is absolutely forbidden for good spiritual reasons. Natural lifestyle must be preserved to maintain proper connection with God and community values. But now, these men coming to your village appear to be here to generate electricity from wind, which challenges everything you believe about proper living and threatens the spiritual foundation of your peaceful community. The first truck enters the village square, and workers start climbing out like an occupying army. One of the workers approaches the village elder with papers in his hand and official authority. "We're here for the wind turbine installation project," he announces with bureaucratic confidence. You move closer to listen with growing concern. "What's a wind turbine?" you ask with innocent curiosity. "It generates electricity from wind, young man. Very big and very powerful," he responds with technological enthusiasm. This answer surprises you more than anything you've ever heard in your simple life. News of such major projects spreads through villages faster than wildfire through dry wheat. Neighbor Aaron comes running with alarm written across his face and asks breathlessly, "Samuel, what are these people going to do to our village?" "They're going to install a giant machine that makes electricity," you explain with growing unease. Aaron's expression changes dramatically like someone who's just heard terrible news. "Electricity? In our village?" The workers start unloading massive parts from their trucks with mechanical precision that suggests this is a well-rehearsed industrial operation. Villagers gather in a growing crowd to watch with mixture of fascination and horror at these alien technological components that threaten their simple world. Old Daniel approaches and asks with the authority of someone who's lived here his entire life and seen the village through many challenges. "What is all this strange equipment you're bringing to our peaceful community?" "Wind turbine blades that will harness the power of nature," the worker explains with obvious pride in modern technology. "They'll be 60 meters tall when fully assembled into the final structure." The villagers look at each other with expressions of growing alarm and disbelief. 60 meters tall? That's higher than any tree or building we've ever seen. "Yes, very high and very powerful, capable of generating massive amounts of electrical energy," the worker responds with technological satisfaction that completely ignores their obvious discomfort. This information makes the villagers extremely uneasy about what's happening to their peaceful world that has remained unchanged for generations. People who live away from technology typically fear such massive industrial structures that threaten their simple way of life. Wilhelm asks with genuine anxiety, "Why are you installing this contraption here in our village?" According to the wind mapping data, this location is the ideal spot for maximum efficiency. "What's wind mapping?" Wilhelm asks with the confusion of someone hearing about alien science. "Maps that measure wind intensity and patterns. The wind here is exceptionally strong and consistent." The villagers understand this explanation but definitely don't like its implications for their peaceful existence. Your father also arrives and asks about the situation with paternal authority. "What exactly will this machine do to our community?" "It will generate enough electricity daily to power thousands of homes," the worker says with obvious pride in modern technology. Your father becomes angry like someone whose values are being directly attacked. "Electricity! We don't want electricity corrupting our lives." "Sir, this is an official government project. You cannot prevent its installation." "How can we not prevent it? This is our village where we've lived for generations." The worker shows his official documents with bureaucratic authority. "We have government permits and legal authorization." This situation creates major outrage among villagers who value their independence and traditional ways. The villagers gather for an emergency meeting to discuss this technological threat. This electricity machine will corrupt our village and destroy our way of life, Daniel declares with religious conviction. It goes against everything we believe about proper living, Martha adds with maternal concern. We must prevent its installation at all costs, Wilhelm states with determination. Your father intervenes with practical wisdom. How do we prevent it? Oh, they have official government permission. We resist, Aaron declares with fighting spirit. We won't allow them to install it. The villagers reach unanimous decision. The wind turbine installation will not be permitted under any circumstances. These kinds of collective resistance movements are extremely powerful in Amish communities that value unity above individual concerns. The next morning, workers want to begin their installation work with industrial efficiency and technological determination. But the villagers are also ready for confrontation with spiritual conviction and community solidarity. Everyone comes to the installation area with determined solidarity that reflects generations of resistance to outside interference. You cannot pass through here and corrupt our sacred land, Daniel announces with the authority of someone protecting his homeland from foreign invasion. Sir, we need to do our job according to the legal contract and government regulations. The worker responds with bureaucratic frustration that shows his complete misunderstanding of Amish values. No! You will not contaminate our village with your technological corruption that separates people from God. The workers are surprised because they didn't expect such organized resistance from simple farmers who they assumed would be easily intimidated. This is a legal project approved by the government. We can call the police if necessary to enforce our rights. Call them! We'll be right here, waiting with our faith and determination. Aaron responds with defiant courage that comes from deep spiritual conviction. The villagers join hands and form a human chain that blocks access to the installation site with their bodies and souls. The workers don't know what to do when faced with such united opposition from people willing to sacrifice for their beliefs. When people unite for their deepest beliefs, it becomes an incredibly powerful weapon against outside forces that threaten their way of life. The supervising worker calls someone on his phone with obvious frustration. The villagers are resisting our work. What should we do about this situation? He has a long conversation with his superiors about the unexpected complications. Then he turns to the villagers with renewed authority. Our project manager is coming to resolve this matter. Let him come, your father responds with confidence. We'll listen to what he has to say. That afternoon, a project manager arrives in a white car like a government official. He's wearing a business suit and has an official appearance that suggests authority and bureaucratic power. Hello, I'm the project manager. I came to provide explanations about this important initiative. The villagers prepare to listen with skeptical attention to his technological propaganda. This turbine is very beneficial for everyone. It produces clean energy that helps the environment. We don't want any kind of energy that corrupts our simple lifestyle, Daniel responds with religious conviction. But it's very good for the environment. Yet it produces carbon-free energy that fights pollution. Our environment is already clean because we live naturally, Martha states with simple wisdom. The manager tries explaining from a different angle with increasing desperation. There are also economic benefits. It creates job opportunities and brings money to the area. We are farmers who work the land. We don't want other kinds of work, Wilhelm responds with traditional pride. These kinds of value conflicts between modern progress and traditional ways represent problems that are extremely difficult to resolve. The manager continues insisting with growing frustration about their resistance. The modern world requires this technology. Progress is inevitable and necessary. The modern world is not our world and never will be, your father states with absolute conviction. But there are laws and regulations. Installation is mandatory according to government policy. Laws cannot change our religious beliefs or our way of life. Daniel responds with spiritual authority. The manager becomes helpless when faced with villagers who are absolutely determined to resist. You listen to these arguments with deep emotional impact about the clash between two different worlds. The village's unity fills you with pride about your community's strength and determination. David talks with you about the situation with youthful curiosity. Samuel, how exactly did this turbine work? It turns wind into electricity by spinning those giant blades in the wind. Is it really very big? David asks with the wonder of someone who's never seen such technology. Yes, 60 meters high. Just taller than any building we've ever seen. David looks thoughtful about this information. I would have liked to see how it works. You're also curious about the technology, but you respect the village's collective decision above personal interest. These kinds of conflicts between curiosity and loyalty often trouble young minds who want to learn about the world. Toward evening, the manager returns with what appears to be a final compromise offer. My final proposal: we'll install the turbine outside the village boundaries instead of inside. The villagers discuss this proposal with serious consideration of all implications. Outside the village boundary is more acceptable than inside our community, Aaron admits with reluctant consideration. But it will still generate electricity that goes against our beliefs, Daniel points out with unwavering principle. At least it won't be on our sacred land where we live and worship, Wilhelm adds with practical wisdom. After long discussion and careful consideration, the villagers reach their final decision. No, we absolutely refuse under any circumstances, your father declares with absolute finality. The manager becomes very angry, like someone whose patience has been completely exhausted by unreasonable resistance. This is absolutely ridiculous and completely unreasonable behavior. It's ridiculous to you because you don't understand our values, but it's principle to us, Daniel responds with dignified conviction that cannot be shaken. I'm asking for the last time, do you accept this very reasonable compromise that benefits everyone? No! All the villagers shout together with unified determination that echoes across the fields like a battle cry. The manager throws up his hands in complete defeat and bureaucratic frustration. Fine, we're leaving this project behind and never coming back. This decision fills the villagers with joy and celebration about their successful resistance to technological invasion. He turns to the workers with obvious frustration and gives final orders for complete withdrawal. Pack up everything immediately. We're withdrawing from this project completely because these people are impossible to work with. The workers are surprised by this sudden change in plans and ask with confusion, "Are you serious, sir?" "Yes. We cannot deal with these stubborn people who refuse to accept progress and modernity." The villagers celebrate with joy and congratulate each other on their victory over technological invasion that threatened their way of life. "We succeeded in protecting our way of life from corruption," Martha exclaims with maternal pride and spiritual satisfaction. "We protected our village from technological corruption that would have destroyed our connection to God," Aaron adds with satisfaction about their collective achievement through unity and faith. After the workers leave, you notice they left behind a drill in their haste, and you realize a new adventure is about to begin.